I'm going to be sharing with you guys the final video in my little mini-series about Empress Myeongseong. So yeah, last episode before the start of the new year, we got up to right before the start of the Empress's murder, before she died. And yeah, so this episode is probably going to be a little bit dark, but yeah, history tends to be pretty sad, especially when we're talking about a time period when a country was about to be annexed by a foreign power. So yeah, let's just start and get on with it. So to give you kind of general background on the incident, around 6 a.m. on the 8th of October 1895, Queen Min, Empress Myeongseong, as we now know her as, who, as you probably know if you were watching my past videos, she was the wife of King Gojong. She was assassinated by a group of Japanese agents. And this incident is known as the Eulmi Incident in Korean. So, to give you some details on the attack, a group of Japanese agents, including military officers, diplomats, and civilians, they stormed the palace, Gyeongbokgung. Gyeongbokgung is actually a really famous palace that still exists in Korea. You can go visit it if you're here. But yeah, they stormed Gyeongbokgung and the queen was assassinated. The details actually we're not 100% sure of, but most historians believe that it was by sword. And her body was covered with oil and set on fire. So yeah, and the aftermath of that, it provoked a lot of outrage, obviously, from the Korean people because they knew why this had happened. Like one could assume. If your queen is speaking out against the potential takeover of her country by the Japanese and she gets killed by the Japanese, then of course her people are going to be angered. And Gojong, the king, and the crown prince ended up fleeing to the Russian legation in 1896 for safety following the Eulmi incident. And yeah, this is really hard for me to talk about, but nevertheless I think it's really important that we share the fine little details of incidents like these to further understand these complex events. Okay guys, so I got a little bit emotional there because, you know, as a Korean person, even though I spent a lot of my childhood in the US, this is probably one of the time periods in Korean history that a lot of Korean people would find sensitive to discuss. But still, diving into the deeper nitty-gritty details, it's recorded that around 4 a.m. on the day that this occurred, people in the palace were awoken by loud noises from Gyeongbokgung's inner court, and they discovered the Japanese invading the palace. And it's also recorded and shown in a lot of Korean films. Actually, I think in a really famous, kind of recent Korean movie, the actress Kim Go-eun sings a song about witnessing this happen through her character, and it's a really powerful song. I forget what the movie's called, I'll leave it here, but if you find this incident interesting, then I would highly suggest that you go watch it. But anyways, coming back to the subject, it's recorded and believed that Japanese soldiers and these agents dragged Korean women and court ladies by their hair. They hurled them from verandas and kicked them and killed them. So it wasn't just the queen. And yeah. Okay, and probably the last bit of today's video and the last of this little mini-series on 명성황후 are the eyewitness testimonies that are recorded and are being kept by historians. So it includes a palace lady who claims that she saw the queen being cut down by the assassins, an old nurse who saw the queen's body. There are even some speculations that she was raped, that her body parts were mutilated after she was killed, but those are just speculations. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, and right now there's really no way to be completely sure. But yes, moving on. A Korean officer of the guard and a palace servant who saw the queen's body being carried and burned to make it unrecognizable, which also I think is highly likely and is probably was very likely to have happened since they were probably trying to cover it up. And also a British diplomat who mentioned in his diary in 1895 that he was present when the queen was killed and noted that it was likely done by Japanese agents. So yeah, it is the only incident, is one of the incidents that in the time they tried very hard to cover it up, but now thankfully a lot of us know about it and we are now able to honor the Empress. Okay, so I'm smiling again. This episode has not been an easy one for me to film, but still, it's really hard to talk about it. I feel like I've said before, a lot of Korean people would find incidents like these really hard to talk about. Every country has really sad, depressing, horrible moments and events that occurred throughout its history, but I feel like with Korean history, and especially during this time period, before, during, and in the years following the Japanese occupation, you know, because of how much was covered up and how much Japan still refuses to admit or apologize for, it is a really sensitive part of the culture and the history here in Korea, and I think that's part of why I kind of started the series, to share knowledge and the facts, because, you know, education is really a blessing, and being able to know this history, like my culture, and being able to share it, that's just one step forward in understanding our past and also understanding our future. So yeah, on that happy note, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Bye!